good evening. This is Judi Moreo, and this is the World of Book Reviews. And tonight we've got some really exciting and fun guests. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors, SkinFitnessLV.com, EV36 Photography, and Sky Vista Consulting, because without our sponsors, we wouldn't have the show. So thank you to the sponsors, and now I'd like to introduce you to my guest. My first guest is Wilnona Marie. Is that right?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, and Jade Dee.
Hello.
And Yolanda Marjon.
Argent.
Oh, didn't she say it sexy? Say it again.
Argent.
Yolanda Argent. It sounds so French. I love it.
Yes.
What a great name. Okay, and these ladies are the authors of a series of books called And I Thought. And it's different things they thought about, which are absolutely fabulous. The first book is And I Thought About Being Grown Up Was Easy. Didn't we all think that when we were in high school? We thought, once I get out of this school, it'll just be wonderful and terrific. But guess what? We learned that life's not as easy as we thought it was. So tell me about the book.
Well, And I Thought Being Grown Up Was Easy was kind of like, after you finish looking back at your life, the bad parts, the good parts, you're going, I did not expect this to happen. And so we got a couple of ladies together from the ages of 25 to 62 area, and we kind of asked them what they thought, and they kind of wrote down what they thought. I loved it. It was so fun.
It was fun, and I love the first story in there, and when it was talking about how when the twins are talking about when they grow up, we're gonna have gold forks and we're gonna have designer clothes and we're gonna have all the data we want, and our cell phone bills, we're not gonna care about them. And then their mother is laughing at them because she says, yeah, I thought that too.
Oh yeah, it's amazing what we think when we're young, isn't it? I remember saying to my dad one time when something really terrible happened, I remember saying to him, this is just not a good time for this to happen. And he said, well, when would be a good time? You know, I'd stop and think about it. You know, we always think this is not a good time, but it's never a good time for something bad to happen. Yeah.
I think, I can't remember the name of the guy, and I really want to give him credit. But he did the song, a graduation song, and it says it's the things on any given random Tuesday that, get you the worst. Yes. And it's like when you're grown up and you recognize on that random Tuesday that you're the adult.
Yes.
And you can't ask anyone else. Oh my word.
Yes. I thought the format of your books is really interesting because they have a story, and then they have a poem, and then they have another story, and then there's a quote. I mean, the format is really, really exciting. And I felt like I could pick it up and open it at any place and read something that pertained to me. Did you write it that way on purpose?
We did. Actually, it's really funny because when we started out with And I Thought Divorce Was Bad with other life lessons, we had some beta readers read it, and they said, oh my goodness, it's so confusing. I don't know where you're going. And then one of our co-authors said, well, we need to put life lessons in this. And so that's where the structure was born.
I'm going to tilt it this way because the way the way the light hits it, sometimes our audience can't see it out there, so we all have to. How's that, Scott?
That's good.
That's good. Okay.
All right.
We kind of have to bend them forward because when the light hits it, it flashes off, and you guys out there, you don't get as good a look at it as I want you to have. So, what's the difference in this one? This one's about paying bills and finding your Prince Charming and all of those kinds of things. What else when we're young that we dream about?
I think we also dream about just being successful. Just knowing, okay, I'm going to get out of college and I'm going to get the dream job. And sometimes it really doesn't happen because you don't have experience, and no one wants to give you a dream job until you have 5 years experience, and you're always asking that question, how am I supposed to get experience?
We all know that, don't we?
When no one will hire me.
I'm sure Dr. Argent over here, she has so many wonderful stories that, like, every time we think about growing up, we actually think about her and her stories.
Hey, we do.
Wow. Okay.
So what story would you like to tell us?
I know, right? I wonder which one they think about.
Nothing like putting you on the spot.
I see how that is. No, actually, well, I was a military child. So when you're a military child, you got two options. One, you're going in the military, or two, you're getting out. So it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
So I did the military route, and then I did my time in for and got let out for good behavior. Yeah. That's another story. But actually,
what I'm saying?
the thing is, well, when you're military, everything's on a schedule, so it's already done for you. So there's no thinking involved.
Right.
So it's not like you had to plan anything. You just had to decide, oh, do I want to go here? Do I want to go to Guam for my next port of call? And it's the same job. And then you transfer it from there into the next one. So it's a little different when you grow up that way versus actual.
So you didn't think like people who aren't in the military that there's going to be a Prince Charming and somebody's going to
I
save
thought
my life and
military academy so you can be an officer because they get paid well and have the highest scores so then I could choose what I wanted, which I did. They put me in communications. Gee, cow surprise. And I could go wherever I wanted after that. That was pretty much it. And so you always knew what your rate of pay was because it was the same. And it goes up in steps. So everybody gets the same rate of pay.
Yeah, so there weren't big surprises.
And that's what we liked about her story, because everyone else's story kind of goes up and down, and you got so many stops and steps. And then to have her story as opposite with like, oh, it goes in order, and then just to have her creative mind was amazing.
Always.
Yes.
Always, yes. So this is one of your books, and then there was this one that was really interesting, and I thought divorce was bad with other life lessons, and I thought divorce was bad. You mean divorce isn't bad?
No. Jade turned to me one day and was like, poetry, you should write it again. And then she's like, you should write about your divorce. And I'm like, my divorce? No. I should write about what happened after my divorce. Because I thought my ex-husband was horrible. And then I met people, and that was so much worse.
It really was, because I was there for all of it. And I said, wow, yeah. So I was the one that made up that title of the book, actually, because she was being sarcastic with me and saying, well, if I was going to write a book of poetry and short stories, what would I name it? And I said, you should name it, and I thought divorce was bad.
Exactly.
That's where the name came from. I really like it. So these books are collections of short stories, is that correct? And how many authors do you have per book?
Well, the first one we have 5, and the second one we have 5, and then the third one, which is over there or right there, whichever one you can look at, it has 11, and that's the one actually Dr. Argent wrote in.
Well, then let's talk about that one.
Okay.
I do love this one, though.
Well, she has lots of stories about the fun people you meet and the divorces and, what happens to them afterwards. There's always great things that happen.
And when you're saying, I thought divorce was bad and with other life lessons, were those other life lessons, did that have anything to do with meeting people online, perchance?
No, it didn't.
Oh, good.
And see, I have those stories. That was like, we need a new book. Yeah.
And I thought meeting someone online was.
Yeah, right. And I thought online dating was the bomb until, yes, that's it, yeah.
With other life lessons, what happened is that the title's kind of like almost misleading, because you think, oh, it's all about divorce, but really it's about someone who's 25 and they start doing the random dating thing and they want to settle down, and then you have someone who got divorced, someone who's newly married, and then you have someone who's in an abusive relationship, and lastly someone who's been married for 30 years. And then their children have left, and their husband's still going to his full-time job, and he has a ton of stuff to do.
And she's a housewife.
And she was a housewife, so now she's sitting home, and I mean, how much cooking and cleaning can one do? Especially when it's only 2 people.
Yeah.
The house doesn't get dirty, and you don't need that much food. And so she was like, what do I do with my life now? And then she started writing. And she was actually the inspiration that made us even start with this project and to get from the get-go.
How many books do you have in the series? You have quite a few, don't you?
4. 4, right. I have to count it myself. I keep wanting to say 5 because the 5th one's on my computer.
I'm missing one. Which one am I missing?
This one?
I thought I had it all figured out.
Oh, yeah, that's the new one.
And I thought I could juggle it all. We do have a purple one that's about business.
Yeah, that one I think I need. And I thought I could juggle it all.
If you wrote in it, you'd make a second edition just for you.
Thank you very much. But let's talk about that one for just a minute, because I think a lot of the people in my viewing audience are people who think they can juggle it all, or at least they're trying to keep their life in balance. Yeah. Did you give them any advice on how to get in balance, or did you just say, oh goodness, I don't think we can do this?
Well, we were trying to go with the fact that step 1 is, first of all, when you recognize that you have to juggle, Lesson 1 is just about learning that you have to juggle, because when you take on things, you're kind of like, oh, I can just do it, and then you come to that point where you're like, at this point I'm juggling things. I didn't even notice, but
Yes.
you know. So that was step 1, and then we go into like what we juggle throughout life. We have a lady who has been an entrepreneur for 40 years, and she's 70-some years old, and she was the coolest part of writing that book.
Really?
Yes.
Just she was like learning what she juggled and how it works in life and what she looks back on now. Oh my goodness. So Miss Hanley, if you're watching, awesome job.
Good job. Yes. She did a wonderful thing. And I love the one poem in there that's called Circus Acts, because we're talking about juggling and how life just keeps throwing you things. And you have to be like, okay, so no, all right, so I'm not going to the grocery store today. I'm going to make popcorn tonight, and we're just going to eat that. And then tomorrow I'll go to the grocery store because I have to get this report done.
And everybody will think the popcorn was fun and not know it was because I couldn't get to the store, right? Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
recognize all the people who depend on you while you're juggling, and they're all watching, and they're not waiting for you to fail, because they just know that you can't, and you know that you can't fail them, and that you don't want them to see failure.
Yes.
So you just keep going. So we put them in that poem as the audience on the edge of their seat, watching you do these death-defying acts of juggling, going, oh my goodness.
Well, I think your books are so creative. I really enjoyed these two. I read these two, but I want to read that third one. I think that would be great. And then you've got this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I did my journey alone. Now, tell me about that.
Well, as we've been traveling around, of course, we've been to different places, London and all these other different places, promoting our books, and we just keep meeting women that think that they, with their problems, were like the only person in the world that they had these problems. And we start to recognize that we're all just human, and we all have kind of sort of the same problems. Maybe it looks a little different, but it, in the end, is the same problem.
Yes.
And so it's better when you recognize somebody else out there had the problem too. And then also it's for us to thank all the supporters, to thank everyone that has been with us in this journey and just through life, because we all need that support system.
Mm-hmm, most definitely. I find that for me, my support system is mainly my girlfriends.
Right.
You know, and I have lived in other countries around the world, and as you all know, I lived in South Africa for quite a while. And most of my best friends live in South Africa, but they still, to this day, they'll pick up the phone and what I love about Facebook and LinkedIn and those social media sites is I can talk to them just right now, you know, and we can support each other, and that's powerful. You know, women supporting other women is a very powerful notion.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And I mean, we just had a lovely example of that. Go figure.
Well, this is 11 people.
11 yes.
authors in this book, and Yolanda, you were one of these authors. Tell us about your story that's in this book.
I honestly don't remember which story.
You have my friend in there. You're
Oh,
so
my
funny.
friend. Oh, well, wait a minute. I hope that's not funny.
I said, you're funny. You're like,
Oh,
I
I'm
honestly
funny 'cause
don't
I don't
remember.
I don't actually. No. My friend. Let me see. I think I traded the story about my friend was a story about breaking up with someone.
Ah.
As I recall correctly, and it was, you had this person in your life and you had everything going, and then all of a sudden there was nothing where something should have been, and so that's what the story is about.
Well, now that you've actually told what it was about, it doesn't even fit the section it's in.
I don't know what section did you put it in.
No, we're just
You're so joking.
Love stories.
Yes.
Yeah, no, right. We put it in something positive.
Yes, absolutely.
We put it in section 5. It was about losing people. So no, it fits perfectly. I was just joking.
Well, I could have sent you Apogee if you're going to be that way about it.
For and I thought he was the one. Please do.
And this one, what is this new book?
And I thought I had it all figured out. It was actually supposed to be the name of our 6th book, but I don't think we're going to make it to 6. Which is
We
what I say
always say
about
that.
everything.
We always
right?
say, we're like, oh, it's going to be just a 2-book series. It's going to be fine. And 5 books later, we're like, we're just going to have one more. And that's probably going to be 10 more.
But
Isn't it
anyway.
interesting how they grow? You know,
Yes.
I started the Life Choices series because I was going to write a book called Life Choices. And then I started writing the book, and I thought, why am I writing about these people? Why don't I ask them to write their own stories? And so I ended up with 26 people writing their own stories, Life Choices. The first one was Navigating Difficult Paths. And then the next thing I knew, somebody said, could we write another one called Putting the Pieces Together? And I said, well, sure. So there was 26 more stories, life choices, putting the pieces together. And then one of the authors said, well, how about let's do one on passion? So we did life choices, pursuing your passion. And then there was life choices, it's never too late. And now it's life choices, ways to wellness. It just grows. So it's like what you're doing. You start doing something and you start realizing that there's more of this. And I thought, what else did I think? Oh my goodness, I thought I did my journey alone. Oh, I thought divorce was bad. Oh, I thought growing up was, it's amazing. You could probably do 150 books on what you thought.
This is hilarious because the lady Gisela Rowe, she was she does not BBC report. She was, but now she does a radio show in London, and she had us on for And I Thought Divorce Was Bad, and she was like, "Are you going to write another one?" And I was like, "No, I might do 3 at the most, and that's it." And she was like, well, don't you understand? They're like the chicken soups. You just keep going.
Yeah, you do.
I was like, oh my goodness, and this is happening. And every time we call her, we're like, we have a new book. She's like, I told you so.
Yeah, I love it.
But I'm sorry, this one, I'm so sorry.
Tell me about this one.
So, And I Thought I Had It All Figured Out is a book, it's a fictional book of what would happen with the group if the group had made it, all the way to the tippity top as far as you possibly could go. And then what happens, and I was like, well, what do you throw a problem in? Because I wanted to do a pilot TV episode. And I was like, well, we need a problem. They can't just live a glamorous life. And I was like, oh, what if we made everybody go broke? How would that work? And then like something messed up with the contracts, and now everybody has their goals, and now it all depends on one thing. Are they willing to go back on the road? But the caveat is they have to go back on the road with someone that has a serious issue of being able to show her face in public and not dying. And so that was the choice that they're making in this 51 pages on the first episode. Like, would they do it or would they not do it? To keep their lifestyle and to keep their charities.
Yeah. And do we get to a point where we think we've got it all figured out?
Yes. Every time you do.
Every time you're saying, okay, this is great, I have got it all figured out. Oh, and then life is like, oh, okay, let me show you. No, you don't. No, I just to ashes. All right, starting again.
Actually, on the back of that, that's what it says. When they thought they had it all figured out, that's when. Now, granted, this is a fiction. That's when it all messes up. It's a fiction, so I don't think anybody in our group would ever do anything like that.
They wouldn't. I mean, it's kind of funny.
I'm gonna have to read that and find out.
She doesn't even like her character in there already. We've talked. You don't. I was like, if she has hair and she's like this big, and she was like, no, I don't like my character.
No. I need to be larger than life. I'm sitting here with flaming purple hair, and she's like, but no.
She normalized
larger than life. I know.
She did.
She did.
I did a lot.
What's she talking about?
Tell me about that purple hair.
Well, actually, my name means violet flower.
Oh, it does
Greek
it?
for violet flower. So the purple hair is violet, and that's what that's from.
I like it. It's fun.
Thank you.
It tells me you're a creative person just automatically when I see you.
I try. The good part is, you missed the. Remember, I have the purple shirt, and I just have a purple laptop to go with it.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, this is your color.
Oh, that's my color. Yeah.
Another one of our authors, Deborah Whitten.
Yes.
She wrote, "Am I Going to Be Okay?" And she has blue hair.
Yes, I love her hair. I love her hair.
Or all of it. When I first met her, she had a little blue streak, and then it's gotten more blue and more blue and more blue. So I'm just wondering if this is something authors must do. Should we change our hair?
Yeah, express that creativity.
Be more colorful and that sort of thing.
I don't know.
I'm gonna steal your look. You know this, right?
You're gonna steal the purple.
Yes.
Okay.
No, because like my publisher was saying, look, I want to take you to like comic things because of the book I write, and I was like, well, I'm not going in this for crying out loud. It's comic.
Yeah, you're gonna do the cosplay.
Comic books. I have to do something great, and when you showed up, that's it.
Yeah, I'm sure we could find you something in the purple range.
And tell me about the CD.
Oh, well, the CD is spoken word. So we got together and put some music and some spoken word, and we had the ladies read. We really were going to do And I Thought I Did My Journey Alone as the entire thing, but then we got around to it, and we were like, well, this poem is cool from this book, and this poem is cool. So we ended up just doing spoken word. Yeah. And we have, like, in the end, I Thought I Did My Journey Alone, there's a traveler that takes you through lesson 1 and lesson 2 and lesson 3. It's a deviation from what we normally do. Mm-hmm. We actually have a character that takes you through the book of And I Thought I Did My Journey Alone. So we did the same thing with the CD. So it takes you through the
see.
tracks.
I see. And how does one go about getting one of your books or your CD? Are they on Amazon, or what do they do?
They can get them through andwethought.com or Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
Oh, okay. So bookstores everywhere, Amazon.com and iThought.com.
And We Thought.
And WeThought.com. And WeThought.com. So if you're interested in any of these books or the CD, you can get them right there. And so tell me a little bit more about you personally as an author.
Oh my!
How did each of you get into this writing and
Well, I'll go first.
okay.
Here it is. I'm a reader. I'm an avid reader. I read like 10, 12 books a week, something like that, which I guess is not a lot to a lot of people, but it's a lot to me. So I read about 10 or 12 books, and Wilnona said, well, when she was writing the first book of the series, she said, well, try to write something. And then, I don't know. I'm not a writer. I'm a reader. I read. So I'll try to write something. So she pulled me in, kicking and screaming, like she does with all of her businesses, wherever we go. But things you do for your best friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go kicking and screaming, although you don't want to. And so I wrote some stuff. That's how I became a writer.
Now, how many books did you say you read a week?
About 10 to 12.
And you said that's not very many.
No, because I used to read so much more, but life
Do
got
you
in the way.
realize that the average American reads less than one book a year?
I was thinking that.
The
I'm
statistics
thinking,
tell
you're
us.
just OCD.
No, I literally used to read about 2 books a day. So I'm so much less nowadays.
That must be why you're such a good conversationalist, because people who read are better conversationalists than people who don't.
I don't know. I fell in love with one book. I don't know if I can say it, but I fell in love with an author, and he just wrote such a great book. And then ever since then, I have never stopped reading, and I was like 11 years old. And before then, I used to never read, and then I fell in love with this book, and
reading is a lifelong learning experience, and the more you read, the more you learn, and the more you're able to meet the right people and converse with the right people and have the right things happen, because knowledge is something that can never be taken away from you. So the more you read, you might lose all your earthly things, you might lose your money, you might lose family, but your knowledge, once you have that, you have it, and it's so powerful.
It's so true, and I love it because sometimes, even though I didn't take those college courses or do this, I can still talk about it because I've read it in a book one time. I was like, oh, I remember there's something about you. Oh, yeah, let me tell you. And they're like, how did you know that? I read it in a book.
I read it in a book. Now tell me, where do you guys live? Because you don't live here in Las Vegas with me. Where do you live?
We live near Washington, D.C. I would say the exact city,
We live
but
in
no one
Annapolis,
knows.
Maryland.
Right.
Well,
She
come
knows.
on.
Where the Naval Academy
Okay, the
is.
Naval Academy, most people know what Annapolis is.
Yes.
Really? A lot of people don't. When he said Annapolis, Maryland, they say, what? And we're like, where the Naval Academy?
No, I
Isn't
thought
that
everybody
West
knew
Point? And then we're
Annapolis.
like, you know what? We live near D.C.
Wait a minute, hold on.
close.
Next time somebody says West Point, we need to address that. This is not the Army.
I let it go. I let it go, and I just say near D.C.
Yes, well, that's okay. But so you're on the East Coast,
Yes.
and you're out here in Vegas for just a few days, and doing television shows and talking about your books and doing book signings and everything out here.
And I live on the West Coast. I'm pure West Coast. I'm in California.
Oh, are you in California?
I'm in California.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm in
California?
Sacramento.
In Sacramento, I love
Home of the other purple group, the
Sacramento.
Kings. Yeah, big props there, guys.
You love
So,
them?
I love Sacramento. Sacramento's a great city.
but you gotta
And-
come up. You gotta
We're going up
visit.
in April.
Yeah,
We're going up in
yeah,
April.
Come on up in April. We're having April is Poetry Month, and we will be doing a show in April. So if you are welcome to come and
Wouldn't that
participate.
be fun?
We're doing a book
I wonder
reading.
if I could write a poem.
Yeah,
Yes, you could. And
Well,
that's
it's also a book reading, so whether you have a poem or not, or you can just do some spoken word.
Could do
Yeah,
some
come on up.
spoken word.
And if you just like one of ours, you could just read it. And
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
oh, whatever.
We'll let you have it.
That's the one Miss Moreo does now.
And here's how we met. I was on their television show. No, it was before that,
Before
Yolanda.
that, you met on my summit.
I met on your summit, yes.
right.
We did the Women's Success Summit.
And
which-
that was so powerful, wasn't it?
I enjoyed
Yes.
that.
Oh, that
so
Women's
Everything but the
Success
editing.
Summit. Yeah. That had to be a major job,
It
wasn't
was,
it?
yeah.
I forget how we got connected, that you invited me to be on that, but it was so
I think
powerful.
somebody else that was on the show, that was supposed to be on the show, recommended you. They ended up not being on the show, but you were on the show.
Well, that's the way it works
It
for
does.
me.
It does work that way.
I'm a very lucky person. Things work out that
Can we
way.
stay next to you?
I know.
Not so much.
I need that in my life.
Yeah. And so, what is your television show? Is it an And I Thought show?
It's And I Thought Ladies, and we're on the internet. We're on Roku TV. We have our
And
own
also
channel,
YouTube.
and we're also on YouTube. And then we have our own podcast, and that's the And I Thought Ladies. And then we have our own Roku, not Roku. Oh my word! I cannot believe I'm messing this up on live TV. This never happens to me. Anyway, we have our own Blog Talk Radio, and that's also And I Thought Ladies.
Great. And I Thought
And
Ladies.
if you guys come and join us, you'll be welcomed into the women's cave.
Yep.
The women's cave.
That's what we
Yes,
call it.
Oh,
Well,
how
welcome to the
interesting.
women's cave, because men get to have a men's cave. We can have a women's cave.
That's
you
a
can
good
do
all the way
idea.
back on our show, it'll tell us how we've decorated the women's cave.
Yes.
And like one person was like, I want a nook. And I was like, I want a pinball machine, a big screen
Pinball
television.
machine.
A big screen television. And a little chair so I can play my video games.
That makes sense.
And there's
Yeah,
always
definitely that.
always wine in the women's cave.
Oh, okay.
Always.
All right. So it sounds pretty exciting to me. And so what's next?
Oh,
Poetry.
Poetry.
Yeah, well, I know we're having another summit coming up.
Now, wait, let's go back a minute. The poetry in Sacramento is when?
It'll be April 29th
April 29th at
at Dada's Gallery, which is on J Street, and I don't remember the exact address, so feel free to look it up, or you can come to my website. And
okay.
look
And
that
your
up.
website is
ivargent.com.
ivargent.com.
And then before then, though, we're setting up an inspiration.
we're going to do an
Inspirational
women
summit.
in literature. Would you mind if I?
Ooh.
Yeah, you can always come on that too.
And
Yes,
we
we
were
would like
going to
to
extend
ask-
the invitation to
Yes.
you because
When is it?
March.
Thinking
March.
I'm thinking
Somewhere in
March the 18th.
March the 18th. That'll be just about when I get back from South Africa. So
Okay.
that'll be good.
Oh wow! So you can just show up and tell stories. You don't even need to talk about
I know,
it.
right? Yeah. Here's our inspiration. I went to South Africa. Yes.
If you're inspired enough, you too can go. There you
There you
go.
go.
or if you absolutely use her journal, it's a wonderful thing.
Oh yeah.
And I can attest to it. So
Oh,
I
are you
use it.
using the
Yeah,
journal?
She's using your
Definitely.
journal.
I use
you're
it.
using
So
Yeah, good. I talked about my journal last month on here, and a lot of people called me and said, I want one of those journals, you know.
So
good.
yes, you guys out there, use it. It's wonderful. It'll really keep you motivated.
I'm gonna tell you, since we've got the journal, we have finished what, 2 books?
2 books and a CD.
And a CD.
Wow.
And we pretty much finished our 3rd book. So that journal will keep you moving.
Yes.
Your daily
know-
goals will get done.
I tell people that all the time. I say, if you will work this journal the way I designed it, you can't help but be successful. Because one of the things you do is you write down one thing each day that you did towards your goals.
Right.
So if you do 365 things in a year towards your goal, don't you think you're going to achieve your goal?
At least something.
Of course, of course.
Of course, if you're unlucky as us, you only end up with, 187 things that you've done towards your goal. But hey,
We worked it anyway. We tried.
But you guys actually finished 2 books and a CD. Since you've been
Yes,
working it.
yes,
Wonderful.
definitely.
I'm proud of that. I'm really proud of that.
well, we're trying to keep up with you.
So what if somebody wanted to write a story for one of your books? What would happen?
we are
They
always
can
open.
absolutely email us at ladies@andwethought.com. We love talking to people. We love listening to stories. And really, this is how most books were born. They were born out of us sitting down, maybe having wine with our friends or their friends or being over at someone's house. And this is how a lot of those things were born.
Actually, we just got a text message today from Ireland, and she's like, "Oh, I'm being a coach again." Da 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 da. But the thing was that she wrote for us, and then she was like, "When I wrote for you guys, I recognized that I actually did kind of miss the job I had before." And she went right back, and she's like, "I've kind of found a new life, a new spirit in it." So I'm kind of excited to be an inspiration to someone out of the country.
Well, you're a very big inspiration. I mean, when I was reading this one, and I thought being grown up was easy, I really really got into it. I got into the stories and, talking about all of the different things like the morning comes and the nights out and weekends and all of those kinds of things. And it had a little poem on advice. And I mean, there were so many things in here that I found that I just loved. I really got into it.
Have you ever thrown the $20 party? That's what I want to know. No, I'm joking.
I haven't done that. Tell me about that.
Oh, it's in there. There's a recipe for the $20 party.
Which was born from the two of us living together and being broke.
And so you gave
in our early 20s.
So you gave a party on $20?
And we did a party on $20.
Every 2 weeks, we would throw a party for our friends out for $20.
For $20.
That's
Please
amazing.
don't ever let them know how much it costs, because they thought we spent hundreds of dollars.
They really did.
They thought it was a great party. So
Yes.
No. So
Exactly.
And you put the recipe for that in
Yes.
there. I don't know how I missed that. My parties never cost $20. I'm going to read it before my next art show. See if I can save on the hors d'oeuvres and things for the group.
May I say one more thing about the
You
end?
can
I thought
say
being
all
grown up
you
is
like.
easy.
Talk about everything.
Okay. So also in here is my mother passed away, but before she passed away, she actually read this book, and she doesn't normally read my book, so I was very happy. And when she read it, the only advice she had, because there's a recipe in there, and it's for biscuits, and it correlates with the 10 steps of life to get you through to adulthood, and that's her recipe. And before she died, she was like, I just wanted you to know, it's not a half a stick of butter. And I was saying, Mama, I'm writing this for people who are 18 to 25. And she's like, well, it's a half a stick of butter, but put a side note to make sure my biscuits come out right. So I did.
That's wonderful. And that's wonderful that you put your mom's recipe in there.
Oh, they're the best biscuits I've ever had.
Are they? I'm going to go
Yes.
make them. I'm going to make them.
Use a whole stick of butter.
She would be very upset.
25.
But just
can afford it.
26. She's just 26, though.
I was going to go with 28.
She's just 26.
That's okay. You guys, you've been very kind to me. I don't mind people knowing how old I am because, if I tell them I'm older than I am, they always say, "Oh, you look so good for your
There you
age."
go. A little embellishment goes a long way.
So it's a long, long way. And so tell me more about this book. And I thought I did my journey alone
Well,
because
if you
all
will-
of you were in this book, and I want to know.
Well, if Wilnona doesn't mind, she can read the back of the book, which is one of my favorite parts, because I wrote it.
Oh, well, you read.
No, Wilnona does it justice. She does.
Okay. Dear traveler, this is the story of 11 ladies spanning 4 generations of life, be it alone, with a partner, a friend, or intimate lover, or a random person they met along the way. Follow their journey, spanning through 4 books, as they take a look around and find out where they are in life. Please take their words and find your pathway within their mistakes, achievements, and losses. Happy trails from the And I Thought ladies.
I love that. Ooh, it gave me chills.
That's because I was reading it. If you just read it on the back, you'd be like, oh, that's cute.
Oh, no. That's very nice.
I remember when Jade came up with the idea and she wrote out the first draft, and I was like, that is better than any book synopsis ever. She was like, what I really want for this book is for people to feel like they're in it.
Yeah.
And that's why we came up with the traveler to go through. So a traveler starts off and they're just kind of unsatisfied where they are in life, and then they have obstacles and they get through them, and the poetry is there to kind of cheer them along. And then at the end they recognize that they have come ashore to this new person that they want it to be, and then they kind of look out and they're like, there's so much more out there. I gotta keep going. I gotta go find new shores to go look on and go learn and get that knowledge so no one can take it from you. And I'm just chatting away.
Oh, so one of
Jade?
my favorite quotes in there is from Scarlet Black, and I love her quote. And she says, when I was younger, I loved going over speed bumps. But now they just make me spill my coffee and mess up my bumper. And it's so true. Mess up my bumper. And it's so true. Because I used to love them. It used to be great going over speed bumps. And now, when I'm going out of my community and I go into I'm like, oh, why did I wear these white pants and I have coffee stains on them?
So this is really all about life, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes I think, I'll be in a hurry in the morning, I run out, jump in the car, and then I spill the coffee on myself.
Yes.
And I think better to go back in and start the day over than to try to get through it with the coffee-stained clothing,
Exactly.
because then I'm going to be miserable all day. Somebody's looking at me and I'm a mess, right?
Exactly. But and then it always kind of reminds you of the mistake you made in the morning. It almost feels like almost like a curse on your day because the rest, it's just better to start over.
It is. It is.
So much better.
Go back and get the new pants. Just go back and do it.
It's kind of like what the book was trying to say is like, no matter where you are, you can always kind of go back and get the new pants. It is a bit of a departure. I love it when she opened up the book, going straight to what I was going to say. It's a bit of a departure because we do have guys. She opened up to the Untitled Life, and Cameron, who was one of our guys, is in there. So
yes,
there you go.
Oh, so you have men that write.
Well, actually, it's Scarlett's son, and he wrote with her in some of her poems.
Oh.
And she was so proud. She's like, so proud. He came with me on this journey and wrote with me. So we were excited for her.
One was a waiter that we met in a Cheesecake Factory, and we were talking, and then so I wrote a poem, and he was like, you guys write? I love to write. So I wrote a poem, and then he was like, I gave it to him. It was half in Spanish, half English, and he was like, no, that's not perfect, this is. That's not perfect, this is. And so we actually called it The Waiter's Poem, and it was just about how much he loved his wife. Cause he
that
was
actually worked in the restaurant with him, which was the cutest thing ever. He's like, she's my heart, and without her, I don't know what I would do.
So we wrote it in Spanish and English, and he helped us with the Spanish. The first Spanish verse is him.
That's exciting. That's
and we,
exciting.
of course, took it to him and showed it, and he's like, I'm in a book!
I know. Every time I write about somebody in one of my books and they get a copy of it, they're all thrilled that I put their name in. And then I got to thinking, I wonder if they can sue me for doing it. Yeah, they probably could.
He also signed a release paper while
I was going to say, releases.
Yeah, he did.
It's like, and I always say good things about people. I don't say bad things. And that's one of the things about a show like this.
Mm-hmm.
People will call me up and they'll say, "Will you review my book?" And I'll say, "Well, send me the book and let me read it, and then I'll talk about it on the show." And every now and then somebody sends me a book that I really don't want to recommend it.
Right.
And so I'd rather say to the person, well, I'm just not going to have you on the show, than to say, I'm going to tell people out there, don't read this terrible book.
Right.
Because I just don't want to say something bad about somebody's book. So that's, I think all of you in my viewing audience know that I only talk about books that I liked or I enjoyed or I felt like they had a good life lesson in them, something that people could learn from, because I don't want to give you a terrible book ever. So you can be assured these are good. They're fun.
Well, thank you for loving our books. We appreciate it.
And to have a fan of your caliber is amazing.
Yes, amazing.
Thank you very much. And I can't wait to listen to this. I can't wait. So is it all poetry?
It's all the poetry, yeah. I don't think we read any books. Although I did read a multiple choice, and that's not exactly poetry, but it's not a long story either.
Yeah, and you get to hear me a lot.
Yes.
Oh, good. Did you were in this as well? Wonderful.
She's one of the better readers.
How many people were in here?
There were five.
Five different ladies in here.
So
That's
we have
wonderful.
11 ladies and 5 public faces, and voila. So that's who read the public faces.
Now tell me that. You've got 11 ladies but 5 public faces. Does that mean that the other ladies don't want to go out in public?
Exactly.
Because, as you guys know out there, most writers tend to be introverts and not extroverts. And they said, well, we love to write for you, but we don't want to sit on a television screen. We do not want to do a podcast. We just want to continue to write. And I can't blame her for it.
No, you can't.
It was a hard way learning that on the first book, and I thought divorce was bad. Because I like cameras, and I like shows, and I like to talk about the books. So I just assumed everyone else did, but it's not true.
Isn't it funny how we do that? We assume other people like what we like.
Exactly.
Yeah. Once again, this evening, I want to thank my sponsors, skinfitnesslv.com, EV36 Photography. And I might tell you, I went to EV36 Photography yesterday and had new publicity photos taken.
Nice.
What a wonderful experience. I hadn't actually worked with her before. Jules is the lady's name, and it was just the most wonderful experience. And it was pouring down rain outside, and she met me with an umbrella, and we carried the clothes in and got quickly, we shot the pictures, and it was fun. And then she helped me carry the clothes out in the rain, and by the time I got home, she had the proofs to me already online. I was in shock that the pictures, and they were good. She shot about 50 pictures, and there was one picture that I wouldn't want. I mean, it was amazing. So if anybody out there, if you're looking to have new pictures done, EV36 Photography, she's absolutely marvelous. I'm going to have her shoot a cover of our magazine for us, and then make sure she gets a lot of credit for it because she did a really good job. And also we want to thank Sky Vista Consulting, and I always want to thank my producer-director, Amy Kardashian. I don't know what I'd do without Amy in my life. She's been absolutely wonderful and a delight to work with over the last few years, and now doing the television show and getting to talk about books. I've been in love with books since I was a child. I lived in a little bitty town in South Texas, and we had a bookmobile.
I remember the bookmobiles.
Did you have bookmobiles? Did you?
I don't remember bookmobiles.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think
we
they were
didn't have a
around when you-
library, so the library in Houston sent the bookmobile to our town. So it was like a van full of books, and you could go in and pick out 6 or 7 books, and you could keep them till the bookmobile came back, which would be like a week away or 2 weeks.
2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I think it
I
was 2
remember
weeks.
seeing the bookmobile getting filled at one of the libraries. And
Oh,
we
did you
never had a
really?
book. There's like 6 libraries where we are. So never a bookmobile, but I remember seeing them get filled. So.
Yeah, well, they were fun because you'd go on there and you'd pick out what you wanted, or if you heard of a book that you wanted, you'd tell the lady, and please bring me this book next time. And you could only take 6 or 7 books. I can't remember exactly, but my brother never took his, so I'd always get 14
That's
because
so nice.
because he didn't take his, so he'd let me have his card and my card, and I'd get all the books and go home. And I think those of us who like to read, we're just we like devour information.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember when the bookmobiles used to come to the school, and they would come to our elementary school, and you could go on. You filed in, got what you wanted, and came out the other end. And then they also remember Reading is Fundamental, the RIF program.
Yes.
And the Scholastic, yes, love Scholastic.
Right.
My mom was so tired of me always filling out that form. Okay, I want this, and this. Can I have $20? Because remember how books were really cheap. I mean, they were like what, 50 cents or something?
97 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
$1
stocked up.
was expensive.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
don't know. I just went to the local library, and the books they were getting rid of, I always wait for their sale, and it would always be 50 cents. And I never read age-appropriate books. Like, I always read older books. Like, I was reading John Grisham when I was 11, which I probably shouldn't have been reading John Grisham, but I surely was reading him.
I think, and the other thing near us is that we have a library that if you bring in a bag, as many books as you can fit in, it doesn't matter the size. As long as it's not a suitcase, it's the rule. It's $5 for that bag of books of what they're selling. So
Really?
we go in there and we have a blast.
Yes.
Especially after the summer, because it's a beach community where they are.
Ah.
So everyone's finished reading, you just stack them all in.
That's amazing. I had no idea there were programs like that.
And I love it. And hence why my house is full of books. And so is my Kindle, and so is everything else full of books.
Now, you take the books in, they don't give you $5. People bring the books in and donate them,
Yes.
and then you buy the
them.
books
And
for
then-
$5.
Yeah.
Or the library's finished with them, and then they put them up there. And there
That's
you
how
go.
they make extra money for the library, which I thoroughly enjoy.
That's a great idea. We have lovely libraries here in Las Vegas. Well, do you know, this has been absolutely wonderful. I loved having the 3 of you on. This has been more fun, almost as fun as being on your TV show.
Our silly show.
Our silly show. We brought our silliness here today, I think, with our co-authors.
You brought your silliness?
Yes, we
Yeah,
were trying.
well.
We're going to be more serious. We're like, we're going
One
to
day.
rails.
One
so
day.
We're going to be serious.
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, okay.
People always say I'm a prim and proper, but if you know me well, you know I'm not. So, thank you so much for watching us, and thank you for watching the World of Book Reviews. And I thank my guests, Yolanda and Jade and Wilnona, for being here tonight. And please go out and take a look at some of their books. And I Thought. And they are the And I Thought ladies, and you can get a hold of them at
www.andwethought.com.
There we go. So, good night.